This lesson will discuss adding properties. The topics will include: what is a property? Why would you use properties? What data types can be used as properties? How would you use a property inside the class definition? And how would you access a property once an object is created from the class? Moving now to our first code example. On line 4, ending at line 14, we have an example of a class user. Inside this class, you'll see a series of public properties which represent information about the user. In order to make use of the class, we need to instantiate it. That is done on line 18, where $user is an instance of the user class. On lines 21 through 26, you can see we simply access the properties using the dash greater than sign, which is the association indicator. So first name is associated with the object user. Last name is associated with the object user. Likewise, account number, balance, is member, and preferences. Also, you'll notice that any data type can be used as a property of an object. In the examples that you see here, we have string, float, integer, boolean, and array represented. But bear in mind, you could also have resources, null, and also other objects. Objects can be properties of other objects as well. Finally, on line 29, we simply do a var dump of the object in order to see the values of the properties at this time. Moving to the browser, let's have a look at the first example. So you can see here we have an object of type user, properties first name, last name, account number, balance, is member, and preferences, which are in the form of an array. Moving now to the second code example, another technique would be to assign the values inside the class definition using a method. So we have the same properties that you saw earlier, but notice on line 14 we created a method called setUpUser, which has 6 parameters. The 6 parameters would then be assigned to the 6 properties of the object. You'll notice when referencing a property inside the class definition, we use the keyword this. On lines 16 through 21, you can see an example of this. In this case, this refers to the active instance of this object. On line 29, we invoke the setUpUser method and specify the parameters. Just like calling a function in PHP, the values will be assigned to the variables inside the method. These values will then be assigned to the property of the object. So Amelia will be assigned to fname. Fname is assigned to this first name. This first name is the property which is represented on line 6. We can then call it back at any time, for example, as you can see on line 32, by referencing the property from the object and putting it in conjunction with an assignment or printf, echo, etc. So in this example, we are going to see the name represented by first name and last name, the account number, and the balance. Moving now to the browser, let's have a look at the second example. So as you can see, the name, Amelia Earhart, account number, and balance as shown. In review, what is a property? A property is a term applied to variables defined inside a class. Why would you use properties? Properties are like keys in an array. Another way of thinking about it is kind of like a package deal where you have a series of items associated with the package put inside one box. So you can think of the object like a box. You can think of the properties as items included inside the box. What data types can be used as properties? Any of the PHP data types can be used. How do you use a property inside the class definition? You would use the keyword this in conjunction with the association indicator, which is dash greater than sign. You could then assign it a value or simply reference the property anywhere inside the class definition. How do you access a property once the object is created from the class? You would use the association indicator, dash greater than sign, and reference the property such as echo $object property or assigning a value $object property equals value. This assumes that the visibility level is public. The visibility level will be discussed in more detail in another lesson. This concludes our discussion of adding properties.